All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a special guest. Our special guest is all the way from South Africa. And, our guest today, and how, she came upon, this interview today was we recently did a conversation with Renelwe about some things about South Africa and some of the immigration. Now, we never were speaking about immigration into South Africa until Renelwe came to this platform. That's just the bottom line truth. Prior to that, we was never even knowing about that information. And so we want to talk more about that. Well, Sister Kwena here, Molekwa, I was told that she is in the trenches of some of this a little bit more, than others. So her group say, hey, you need to holler at her. So that's why she's here today. Kwena, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Good evening to you and your viewers, and thank you for having me after such a long time. I think Patriots would be happy about this because of they even came to my DMs. They were asking me if I knew you, so I was like, unfortunately, but yeah, I actually watched a lot of your work, and you guys have been doing an amazing work, and yeah, good to be here actually.
Okay, Kwena, tell me a little bit about yourself because I kind of read some things about you politically. Did you used to be in the EFF?
Yeah, I used to be in the EFF. Come on, typically I have to be in the EFF. In South Africa, I grew up in a family of what is known as activists. Both my parents, my dad was arrested by the apartheid government, taken for even my mom. So yeah, I grew up in the ANC politics. Over time, when the EFF introduced itself, I think every viable young person that was there at the time, we all joined the EFF and we believed in the motors and the policies of the EFF, and we saw the EFF as the future.
Okay,
Until
so let me ask you a question. You say you left the EFF. Why? If you saw EFF as the future, and shout out to our brother Julius Malema. Julius Malema is popular here in America.
Yeah, I think earlier in life when the EFF started, the brand of the EFF was very strong in South Africa, and their messaging and their ideology, what they spoke to, and it really touched what South Africans were actually exposed to as the challenges at the time. So then I think Julius just started losing his plot actually politically.
Okay, so what do you think led to, in your opinion, to him losing some of his, political popularity?
The popularity loss came with, one, I always say, a lot of South African politics or politicians for that matter are not actually on the ground. He stopped being on the ground. He stopped listening to the people of South Africa. He stopped, fighting for South Africans and started seeing himself more as a president of the United States of Africa. And all of us are, in a sovereign country, and Africa has 54 countries actually. So yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you about how a lot of us in America view Julius Malema, right? A lot of us here, and I can say this safely, definitely here on this platform, a lot of us was very disappointed. Julius Malema has not risen to be a president, and let me tell you why. Because over the years I've covered Julius Malema, and one of the reasons I covered him probably more than any other African figure is because anytime something racism happened in South Africa with the Boers, the whites, whatever you want to call them today, everybody calls EFF. And so Julius and them will go down there and say something, right? Even I think not the last time I was in South Africa, but the year before when y'all had a lot of load shedding and the EFF was about to shut everything down. I was in a business and they walked in and told the dude at the business, say, hey, we got this national protest tomorrow. It probably wouldn't be too good for you to be open tomorrow. I was like, whoa, like that. And dude, like, I was looking around. I was like, man, it's like that. And I'm like, oh, hey, I say, okay, I can respect it. You know what I'm saying? But we looked at what happened in the FNB Stadium, how he made all the folks mad. Oh, he had them mad. Oh, they were mad. Even in America, they were mad about what he was singing, right? So we look at that, And we look at that energy of what was happening in that stadium, like, man, we wish we had something like that in America. Then America, they'll shut us down with the FBI and all that other stuff. They won't let a Julius Malema rise in America. It won't happen. He'll go to jail. Something will happen here. But in your country, you can have a figure like Julius Malema. Is a Malema perfect? No, not by a long shot. But I do understand, to your point, and to some people's point, I do understand y'all took issue more so with his open border policy. Is that correct?
Yes, we started taking strenuous issues over that because, I mean, Julius, one, he is part of the people that I would say are very much not, what I would say, aligning to their messaging. I mean, his neighbor actually was killed by the Zimbabwean man that killed 7+ South African women around Limpopo. He was a serial killer and a rapist. His name is Tembi Ndlovu. I will send you the link actually once we are done, so you do go through the story. I was part of the people that exposed that story. Julius, though his first community in Seshego was actually affected by this, his people were saying that I'm lying. Number two, when we were attending the court case in Seshego, EFF members who used to come and bully us, over the court case, and when we were marching outside the court, they did a counter march against that, and they were protecting the illegal foreigner, and the guy was from Zimbabwe. He was not even supposed to be here in the first place, and then he just ignored that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of issues that we do have with politicians in South Africa is that most of them are not and like they don't care about what is happening to their neighbors. They don't longer care about what is happening within their first communities where they stay or where they grew up. And that is that's a factor. And the problem in South Africa is not just it's more about limited resources that we do have as a country, and we have to be catering for illegal people that are not even budgeted for. And we can't be doing that, honestly. Any country can't do that.
Well, in the United States of America, listen, let me make sure I'm upfront. We have that big issue right now in the United States of America, open borders. We have a current administration that it was really just letting them in the millions, okay? And on top of that, they were given so much resources, hotel rooms, cell phones, food stamps, with food stamps basically giving them money for food, basically. Giving them other kind of money so they could spend money. I mean, I can go all day talking about what happened here, right? So I'm with you about, not having open borders. I'm with you about coming over to South Africa legally. Like, for instance, when I go to South Africa or any country I go to, I make sure I follow the laws of whatever country. And so at least with my country, I can go on visa on arrival, right? Okay, that's the law. But there's other countries I had to go through, like Kenya, for instance, I had to get a visa before getting there. If I can't get one, I can't go, right? I don't go illegally, and I don't overstay my visa, right? So I'm with you about illegal immigration. We together, but let's go to Chidima, all right? Because I've read a lot of your tweets and some things you have espoused about Nigerians in particular, right? Now, where I live in the Houston area of Texas, we have the largest amount of Nigerians outside of Lagos, right here where I'm at. So I run into Nigerians all the time. Matter of fact, I have Nigerian neighbors, right? Right next door to me is a family of Nigerians, okay? So let's get to Chidima. Why did you take an issue with Chidima being in Miss South Africa?
The issue didn't just come with Chidima only. I think if you go look at my tweets, you would realize that I threw, I think 4 or 8. Actually, I threw 8 of them, 8 candidates that were forming part of Miss South Africa. And I remember there was a girl from Groblersdal, but she was not using her surname. And somebody ended up saying to me, no, she's from Groblersdal. So different contestant, even this other girl, Lamboda, I think I threw her out, just 8 of them, even the Chinese girl and all these things. So everybody came, from different areas, came and said, I know this person. I went to school with this person. I went to high school with this person. I went to primary with this person. She's my neighbor. She's what. And then when we were done circling all these people, then Chidima actually didn't meet the requirement. Nobody came actually from Soweto for that matter, because she claimed that she's from Soweto. And nobody came from Soweto, from Pinkville, to say that Chidima grew like around my neighborhood. And that is very surprising because of in South Africa, come on, whether you stay in the suburbs or you stay in a location or in rural areas, somebody would say, I know Kwena Molekwa. I went to school with her. She used to be in the school with me. Do you understand? So that's
Right.
how this whole investigation started with Chidima, actually.
Okay. So you say there was a Chinese young lady too that y'all was looking into?
Yes.
Was she in South Africa legally?
She came to South Africa legally, obviously, and the parents were naturalized citizens over the businesses that they have inside South Africa and that are
Mm,
showing that are employing South Africans. So if you're gonna say that my parents are naturalized citizens, obviously we want to know on what merits your people or your parents or how your family became naturalized. I think it's only fair, you understand? And there's nothing
right.
wrong with asking where you from. And I mean, I'm from Ramulekwa. It's actually 75 k's away from what is known as Mokopane town. There is nothing wrong. I can answer that. And I can even tell you which school I went to. I went to Settlers and Cultural High School. I went to Matloma Primary School, which is in my village. You understand? So somebody else
Right.
can even come to collaborate my story. So then what the whole Chirima issue was like, no, why are you guys asking me this type of questions? No, I mean, when we say people are naturalized, you guys generally just have a problem with African migrants. I'm like, no, if I can ask anybody else and ask even the Chinese girl and the Scottish girl with the background and everybody else, why is it that when I question a fellow person that is a black person, then we want to be withdrawing this thing to be xenophobia or Afrophobia for that matter? You know your name also. If I ask you where you're from, you just told me now you're from Texas. You understand? It's not a
Right.
difficult thing. I don't understand why people want to bring emotions into such conversations. We need to be free about where we come from and be proud of who we are. And there's nothing wrong with you being integrated into South Africa. So, but integration of black migrants has not been so successful in such a way in South Africa that when once you start to have this conversation, and even when you draw back into the politics, it's usually that when once I start to ask you of where what like maybe your background or something, somebody was like, no, even your ancestors are not from South Africa. Like, you understand? That is like a condescending answer. You can't be telling me about my sisters not being from South Africa. All my life, my forefathers, my grandmother, my dad, everybody grew up in South Africa. 3 generations of the Molekwa family is found in South Africa. So, like, why is it that when I ask another person, they'll say to me, yeah, even your ancestors come from somewhere. You understand? That thing, I take offense in it. And that's what we got with the attitude and them not willing to answer certain questions. So then it started to actually open up this whole thing that let's investigate this. Why are these people so skeptical about this whole problem, like making it a problem?
So basically, like, yeah, here in America, we do that too. We'll see somebody, let's say like it's an African immigrant, Caribbean immigrant, or whatever. We just kind of look at them and we can just say, hey, where you from? Like that. And then some of them, I know some of them get offended when you do that. Like, what do you mean where I'm from? No, where you from? I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
you out. There's nothing bad what I'm asking you. It's like, where you from? Like, who know you? Because at least in our culture, what we've experienced in history sometime and what has happened a lot here in America, not all, but some immigrants have came in here and kind of help undermine Black Americans. You understand? They'll join with
That's the
the
same with
racist,
South
and
Africa,
everything
actually.
to help undermine. So not all, but
Mhm.
some. So yeah, we're gonna ask where you from because we don't want you coming in here undermining. Now, is that what you're talking about? People coming into South Africa and purposely undermining y'all? Is that what you're talking about?
Like I'm actually that's why I'm even interjecting you. Sorry about that. Like that is the same frustrations that we share that are actually it's common with with us and Americans. Is that you have black immigrants. Once you start to have this conversation, most of them it's about now getting emotional. Besides getting emotional, they'll even tell us, no, you are lazy. You South Africans don't want to work. Hey, you're uneducated. You don't know your history. Like, what kind of people are this? I mean, how am I even supposed to see you as my brother? Where else you are already harboring so much accusations and a certain perception of me? So that's been like the biggest problem that we do have with even black migrants. I mean, even Zimbabweans for the longest time. I think you have seen a bit of my work when we started fighting even the ZEP issues with Zimbabweans, because of for the longest time Zimbabweans have been inside this country and we've been told that they are coming here to bring skills, but there's not been any skills transfer because of the skills that we didn't have like maybe 10 years ago, maybe from 2007 until today. We are still apparently having the same skills shortage inside South Africa. And how you are supposed to build a skills capacity inside such a country? How is the government not doing its duty? It's another problem. It's adding to the frustrations of the locals and the citizens of South Africa.
Well, let me say something. When I did this earlier like that is because yes, we've heard the same thing as Black Americans, right? Like, oh, y'all Black Americans are lazy. Y'all Black Americans just want to commit crimes. Y'all not as successful as us. I'm like, hey, well, hold on. If you look in the history of America, now we built America, we innovated America, right? How many patents do they hold? Okay, you get an education, get a business, fine. We've been doing that ever since the beginning of this nation. We even created historical Black colleges, universities. None of them have created that. And I know there's some that do that, trust me. But it's not all, because I've met some great brothers and sisters who come from the continent, from the Caribbean, and they great people, right? So let's talk about the Zimbabweans here for a minute, right? Do you believe all Zimbabweans are that way, or you believe some are that way?
I don't believe that all Zimbabweans are very bad people, actually. I don't want to generalize people in such a manner. I don't think that is an honest opinion that I would carry around. But one thing is that the Zimbabweans that I'm exposed to in certain sectors, especially because of more of a social activist, then those are kind of Zimbabweans that I'll come across because of they would carry such attitude and such diminishing attitude. And you meet other Zimbabweans that are actually well educated, doing well inside different countries and even in South Africa for that matter. And I mean, we have even integrated other Zimbabweans like that. I mean, look at the guy that plays for Springbok. There's a Zimbabwean migrant who is now a naturalized citizen and he's part of the national team. I don't even have to actually ever even have to drag him to such a level of, me questioning his nationality or questioning his background, because of he has never, not even once, gaslighted South Africans to say, yeah, I'm better, I'm a better Springbok player, blah, 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 all those kind of, undermining things. But you do find, Zimbabweans that are coming to South Africa and are here, especially the ones that are claiming to be fighting for the rights of Zimbabweans in South Africa. Because Zimbabweans would actually even take South African government to court, but they don't take the ZANU-PF to court. This is like something that is so much I would say so much astonishing. Like, I mean, how do you take a foreign country to court, and then where else you are running away from a government that you claim that is oppressing you, and you have never even attempted to take ZANU-PF to court? Like, it's just so upsetting. So you do find
Right.
such people.
So basically what you're saying is, listen, we kind of let y'all be over here, at least y'all can kind of just be appreciative and just working hard and just be respectful. But if you can't be respectful, then you just kind of need to return back to your homeland and fight for your homeland. That's basically what you're saying, right?
No, it's long overdue. I mean, the issue of Zimbabwe is not something that started 5 years ago. It started even like 2005. We started taking Zimbabweans in
And why
huge
did that
numbers.
happen? Why did that happen?
I mean, the struggle in Zimbabwe, especially with the ruling party and the dictatorship of Mugabe, today is the dictatorship of Mnangagwa, who's the sitting president. So we started to take in
Queena,
Zimbabweans.
Queena, you didn't answer
Yes.
my question. Why did it actually happen? What significant thing
What?
happened in Zimbabwe around that time?
There was a lot of before that. There was Gugura Wundi, which was the ethnic killing between the Shonas and then Tebeles. Afterwards, it was the dictatorship of Robert Mugabe that happened inside Zimbabwe, and when they started taking land from white people, and the economy collapsed. So yeah, that's what happened.
Yes, you mentioned that. Hold on, I'm just make sure I quote the right time. Let me see, on Zimbabwe. So yes, now Julius said he wanted to do that. Didn't you support that?
He wants to do what?
He wanted to, when he was mentioning about taking the land back, like Zimbabwe, like Robert Mugabe had took the land back, right?
I don't
Did you,
support
did,
that.
did
I
you
feel like
support that idea?
these ways. What? Sorry.
Did you support? So basically, Mugabe did what Julius was talking about at one point in time, taking the land back and giving it back to South Africans, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this what happened after Robert Mugabe took the land back, right? And it was like little over 4,000 white people that he took the land back and gave back to the Zimbabwean people. For a long time, Mugabe was going to the UK and talking to the Queen, say, "Hey, look, my people need their land back. Can you just pay them? Give me money to pay them so they can get their land back because they need their land back." The UK at the time said, "Nah, I'm not giving you crap. I'm not paying you a dime," right? And so when they end up saying, Mugabe said, "Okay, well, look, time's up. I'm taking the land." He took the land, gave it to his people, right? Prior to him doing that, he was not called a dictator or nothing. Oh, they loved Mugabe prior to him taking the land. So he took the land back, right? And at that moment he took the land back, he became evil all of a sudden and a dictator or whatever. Then in the early 2000s, they put economic sanctions on Zimbabwe, right? The United States and the EU put sanctions on them. Sanctions collapsed their economy. Once it collapsed their economy, then now you have the Zimbabweans heading into South Africa. That's why you got a Zimbabwean issue. It's because of the Western world.
True that. I do. I can't say that I'm against giving land back to Black people or South African people for that matter in South Africa, but it needs to be done in a way that is not damaging one, way else even other people's rights are not violated, way else you're not even killing. So with ZANU-PF, what it has done with the land issue, it's been that they have taken the land from the YTS, which was something that they said that they will do, but the land did not benefit an ordinary Zimbabwean. Ordinary Zimbabweans even today don't own the land. Most of the land, even if you go check, I'm sure today, if you look at correctly, I think I tweeted about it. It is, I think, 19 farms in Zimbabwe are owned by Ed Mnangagwa's daughter, which is the sitting president. So even with Mugabe's term, a lot of the lands was, shared amongst politicians and elites in Zimbabwe. So it's not just necessarily about, speaking to the issues of the land, but the land, if it's not going to benefit our people, then what is the use of us taking that land back and suffering the consequences like Zimbabwe has suffered it? So that's been the issue that I gave.
Hold on, Kwena. Hold on. So basically what you're saying is you cool with the white people keeping the land in South Africa.
I did not say I'm cool with that. I said it must be done.
It kind of seemed like it, what you just said, but explain to me about that. Let's talk about the South Africa. Or do you want Black people to get their land back? That's part for you. That's your ancestors' land, right? That's your ancestors' land. So do you want them to get the land back, or how do you want that to be done?
I own my ancestors' land. We had what is known as the Land Claim Commission in South Africa. It's not my family only. Even the Julius Malema's family, they have part of the land that they actually got through land claim court. Because of you can initiate that and you just have to prove where your forefathers are buried, and the government would commit land. So it's not even just my family alone in where I stay. There is the Molefe family that owns even half of the land where we are staying, because of their ancestors used to stay like over the other side of the mountain and stuff like that. So what has been the issue? I'm not against South Africans getting back, especially Black South Africans getting back their land. It's just that people don't want to comply with the law of actually, going to the land claim court and proving that, they know where their ancestors are buried and all those things. And, giving or surrendering land to government, where else even today the state, because of it, owns land in South Africa. Most of state lands are actually even stolen by people, actually hijacked by people to even start what is known as informal settlements, and some people are actually even using state land for their own purposes. So it's not that I support, or I'm saying that people mustn't actually fight for the land. We must fight for the land, but if we are going to do land claim or land reforms, they need to be done in accordance with the law. And that's the thing that I think like a lot of Black people are not ready to do. And my family had to go through the Land Claim Commission to gain the land of Molekwa family CPA back. And we even have title deeds of 20 farms. So that is just it. It's a process.
Okay, let me go to some other parts because I was just kind of reading some things.
Okay.
Are you fine with I'm gonna use the right word, foreigners owning companies in South Africa?
I'm fine with foreigners owning companies in South Africa, but currently is not done within the laws of the country. Yes, I mean, even Hawaii, a big company like that, for example,
Mhm.
in South Africa, it was found to actually be what is known as contravening our laws because it hired 90% of staff that are foreigners, not South Africans. So 90% of their staff, and most of them are doing what is not a scarce skill, and they were hiring such people and bringing labor from outside South Africa. So I feel like if a company is going to come to South Africa and say they are investing in South Africa and building South Africa, then it needs to be doing that, exactly that, and it needs to follow the law and be hiring South Africans. And if not South Africans, if they don't have the necessary skills, I think the law even says that, there's a skills transfer between 3 to 5 years, and it needs to be a very clear plan of when to start and what are they doing as the company to actually give a South African, or South Africans for that matter, the necessary skills. So a lot of these companies that are inside South Africa are not following the law. So it's actually now giving us the prejudice to say that we are being xenophobic and we are being unreasonable, where else the issue is them actually not employing South Africans.
Well, I read South African law, and according to South African law, you must hire 50% South Africans in any company that you operate. That's according to South African law. And, like I told you, anything we're doing in South Africa, we're going to follow South African law. I don't care what them other people doing. I'm talking about what we're doing, right? So, we definitely have South
True.
Africans, working with us, there in South Africa. But I want to go back to the Miss South Africa, because August 11th you had posted on your Facebook about the winner of Miss South Africa, Mia LaRue, right? You
Okay.
actually congratulated her. And to us inside us, let me say in the diaspora, but let's say Black America in particular, we saw all of the thing about Chidima, right? So I said, okay, well, maybe because her lineage, because we believe in lineage, right? Her lineage don't trace to South Africa. So maybe that's maybe why they're saying something, right? It's a lineage issue, is not anything more than that, right? Okay, cool. So after Chidima bowed out, right? She bowed out, whatever. She came to the country, her parents brought her, she didn't come home, whatever. Then we look at when the woman who won Miss South Africa, you in particular, congratulated this woman, and this woman did not come from how many? Is like 11 indigenous tribes of South Africa, correct?
Yes.
Okay. This woman did not descend of the 11 indigenous tribes of South Africa. Why would you celebrate Mia LaRue but had more of a problem with Chidima? Because last time I checked, Mia does not descend from the 11 indigenous tribes of South Africa. Could you please explain that to the audience?
She does, Mia, actually, because the LaRue family are integrated to be Afrikaners actually in South Africa. So I think let's just clarify that they denounce their French heritage, and most of them are actually known as Afrikaners, as Boeres. So she can mooi Afrikaans praat, and she sees herself as an Afrikaner woman.
Okay, but you do know she's not a direct descendant of your land, correct? If she's
Of course.
Afrikaans, she's a Boer. Her descendants is in the Netherlands. That's where she come from. Dutch descent, or her people from the
She's from
Netherlands, right?
France. That's why I said French descendant. Her French
Okay, let's
descendant.
say France.
Yeah.
You mentioned, because you mentioned Boers and stuff like that, and more a lot of them, they came from the Netherlands, right? So basically, you're telling me that she is more of a representation of South Africa than another African? I'm trying to understand because I thought, and
Okay,
everybody in
let
the
me
diaspora
explain
thought
this.
that those are, hold on, sister. We thought that the other two women that were there on the side of her, we could sure thought they was going to be picked. But when we seen her be picked and we didn't see an outrage, it was like, well, what the hell is this? Right? And you're hardcore about immigration and your land, and I beautiful. Be that. But how could you be hard just from a diaspora perspective? How could you be hardcore about your land? And these are descendants of colonizers who put your people in apartheid, right? How could you celebrate that? But because last time I checked, Nigerians, they did not put South Africans in apartheid. They was actually colonized themselves by the British, right? So they was not doing that to South Africans. So please explain to me. I just got to hear it from you how Mia LaRue, you congratulated her, but you was hardcore on Chidema. Please explain that to me because I don't get it.
Like I said, the French descendant, and if you go look at the Anglo-Boer War history, you would actually relate to see how the certain French people that became part of the Afrikaner community in South Africa formed part of that, but more especially because of the issue that happened before 1994 with South Africa and Nelson Mandela taking the stage and saying that we are one with white people and whatever. So there is certain things that I would want to fight over. Like I said to you, for what is known as South Africa and putting South Africans first. And but the forefathers of my land, which is the generation of Mandela, thought no, we are not going to go into war and we are going to build a rainbow nation. And that's how, even when I think Home Affairs Deputy Minister was explaining the issue of Chidima, how one needs to become a South African through blood and before the issues of 1994 and us accepting democracy and what came with it. It was that they became part of us because of clearly of what Mandela stood for and said that he's fighting for, to unite South Africans. And it meant that we must unite even with the Buddhas that we didn't like and that actually even colonized us. It meant that we must unite even with the Europeans that are here or the Jewish that are here, whatever, you understand? So that is where this whole thing came from.
Okay. Listen, this is what I'm saying. I believe you should get along with all people, right? Be nice, be friendly, be at peace with all people. It don't matter what religion, color, whatever. I truly believe in peace, right? But with Chidema, y'all made it a lineage argument. You understand what I'm saying about lineage? You made it a lineage argument. So what I got from it was Chidema was not part of your lineage. In other words, she wasn't part of the 11 indigenous tribes of South Africa, right? Now, if you want to get along with the Boers and all that, okay, hey, that it is what it is. You get along. But y'all made a lineage argument. And then when we seen Mia, and it's nothing against her, what I'm saying, y'all, you just explained that basically you're grafted them into your lineage, and that's what it is. So, but if you do their history, they didn't arrive to what, the 1600s? So, but your people have been there forever, right? The 11 indigenous tribes. So for us, it just didn't, we couldn't compute how you had a lineage argument, get her out. But then Mia show up, and I'm kind of shocked. A person like yourself, who's very hardcore about immigration and protecting South Africans, are more so on the, what's the term, Rainbow Nation. You're more so on that.
It's not just about that. I mean, the unity of South Africans. It's always been what we preach about, and this is why I speak about integration. Integration, it's something that is very essential. If, my brother, you're gonna come inside South Africa and you are gonna be integrated or naturalized and become a citizen, I feel like for me to show that I'm American, I would probably get an American name. You understand? And relate to what the knowledge or the people of America. If you're gonna say I'm from Soweto, we're expecting a Pindile from Soweto to speak the language of the people of Soweto, which is what is known as Zulu, as Sotho, whatever language you pick on. I mean, even Shangani, you speak it in Soweto, which is stronger today. So Chirima, that's why I said me, I can even speak Afrikaans, and she recognizes herself as an Afrikaner woman. So where else with black migrants is that they don't want to be integrated, and if you're not going to be correctly integrated to form part of the society that you say that you claim to say that I'm from and you want to represent, that shows that you're not ready to be part of the citizens of that country, and you can't carry the aspirations and the interest of the people of South Africa. So that is one thing that I would always speak about. But my forefathers, which is Nelson Mandela and others in the ANC, thought that it is a good thing that we must endorse what is known as Rainbow Nation, and it meant that we must accept white people. And is it something that it's comfortably sitting well with the newer generation in South Africa? No, it's not. But it's a struggle that we still need to be fighting over. Do you understand? It's not something that I'm going to change today, that I'm going to say. That's the reason why even probably I joined the EFF at one time, because of it fashionably was talking about this kind of issues. But we need a way to fight these things. And if we're going to fight them, it needs to be dealt with in a way that, it shows that, okay, maybe we don't relate with what Mandela spoke of and as the president of the country at the time, and what the ANC has endorsed over the years as a non-racial country, and and we need to speak over the issues of our heritage and even colonization as South Africans correctly. So it's not something that I gel with 100%, but it's there. Do you understand? It's not something that I'm gonna change tomorrow. It's there.
And sister, well, let me get to what you're saying, but let me talk. You talked about America. If you came to America and you came right here to Houston and you spoke to somebody, say, he accent, say, oh, where you from? You say, oh, I'm from South Africa. What's your name? They ask you your name. Say, oh, shoot, okay. Nobody would tell you over here you got to change your name to Keisha. Nobody would tell you that. You can keep your name here and everybody be good. Your traditions, like whatever. One thing we say in Black Americans, like, don't act like you better or something, but hey, come break bread with us. We'll invite you in. Hey, you from motherland, come on. That's how we are here. Now, this is what I just heard from you about this situation with Mia and Chidima. Okay, so we grafted, the Boers in, and they part of South Africa, whatever. We trying to be basically a modern nation like America. You have all these different people come in, whatever, fine. But when it came to Chidima, and when I hear Chidima speak, she has a South African accent. She doesn't have a Nigerian accent. So clearly she's been in the country long enough to develop the South African accent. I've heard her speak on multiple times, right? So I didn't think she would be a bad representation of South Africa. I'd never heard like she was a bad person or she committed crimes or anything like that. So in one instance, from what I'm seeing, and this is going to lay more so probably to what you post online a lot. In one instance, you lose lineage on the Nigerian, but you say, oh, well, we all one Rainbow Nation when it comes to Mia and the Boers. You get what I'm saying? So how do you have both arguments at the same time? If that's the case, then the Chinese girl should have been stayed in there. Then Chidima should have been to stay in there, because we all Rainbow Nation, right? We all one, right? And we no racism here. Cool, no problem. That's what I'm saying, is you can't be Rainbow Nation with the Boers, but you can't be Rainbow Nation with everybody else. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
But Chidima is not even integrated. Chidima is illegal inside South Africa. She's got a stolen identity. So that's another issue on its own. And the merits, okay, that's what I was talking about. That, when you are going to talk.
Story, ma'am, I know the story. She came, yes. Like we had, listen, let me tell you what happened. In America, they had children like Chidima come over here, and their parents came over illegally, right? And they did a thing when President Barack Obama was in called Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So basically you had a bunch of children that grew up in America who came over illegally, but they were little babies like Chidima. And so they did a program where they had to kind of register and pay so much money or whatever, but they wouldn't get deported per se because of the DACA program. So my thing is, how can you hold Chidima responsible when it was her parents? Her parents, yes. But how could you hold her responsible? Because she may not even knew.
It's not. I want to believe that she did not know, and mainly because of the information that I was getting and from different
Mhm.
sources. One of the information that I got, and one of my informant, I've clearly stated it's somebody who's very close to the family of Chidima, and was somebody that spoke with even Chidima's mother to tell her to withdraw from the competition of Miss South Africa, because of people now are gonna investigate about how they became legalized or whatever that they say that they are in South Africa. So it's not just even about that. The issue is more even about the South African girl that is for 23 years today is only probably going to get her first ID this month. And that's not something that is spoken about, because of a lot of issues. Is we are speaking more about Chidima, but we're not speaking about the victim. And the victim, I feel like she's not even given them enough spotlight, or even given enough of media's attention, for that matter, to say that this is the victim that was denied her identity in South Africa for the longest time, and she didn't exist inside the country, where else Chidima was enjoying all of that. So if maybe the program was like what you are saying, like in the US, that you did that and your government did that, I think that we would be accepting of that, because of then we would know that, okay, we are fighting the government, not an individual that benefited from identity fraud, and then thinks that it's okay to just play victim. She's not even actually showing remorse or any accountability towards the other lady. Do you understand? Because of these issues now are very much
Well,
well
why
known.
should she though?
And
I mean, come on, why should she? Like, if my mom did something, and I like, let's say my mom took me to South Africa, and I didn't really find out about anything about me with any of this until I became an adult. And everybody say, "Man, Phil, you don't belong here." Like, hold on, I grew up here. I came here. I think 1 years old. That's when she came over, right? By when she was 1.
I'm not even sure when Chidima came inside
Okay,
the country,
so
because
you came over as a little child. Let's say she's 1, 2, no matter. If I came over and all I know is South Africa, right? I don't know America. All I knew is South Africa. And then later I'm in a competition. Everybody finds out that I'm like, boy, I didn't even know this stuff. So I'm not understanding why everybody mad at her, maybe her parents, but why everybody mad at her, and kind of, from the outside looking in, you mentioned xenophobia. That story got so global that's when the xenophobia label really started coming, and people are like, wait a minute, like, what is the deal? Like we get it, but like, is it that serious? Because that was a conversation with a lot of Black Americans. Like, is it this serious about her in this competition? Because you could come over to America, you can actually get in the Miss America pageant, and if you won, I wouldn't have a problem with it. If you got Miss Black America, I wouldn't have a problem with it. And we know you're not from America, but if we say, hey, you're a Black woman, you can get Miss Black America pageant. We're not tripping on that. You know what I'm saying? So we just didn't understand that, sister. That's all. And I personally believe Chidima was kind of like getting a lot of shots that she shouldn't have got, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. And that's that. And like I said, your position is me as part of y'all, but the audience can take what they want to take out of that. But let me move on, because I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. Nigerians. And the reason why I mentioned Nigerians, you have a lot of strong opinions about Nigerians. Very, very strong opinions. I've read some of your tweets, and your tweets are very spirited. I'm gonna say that at the least about Nigerians. What has Nigerians done to you personally?
personally, like every other person, every young South African for that matter, I mean, we get more exposed to Nigerians once we start to go to varsity. I stayed in Sunnyside. It's not even something, it's something that is actually known by other people, that I stayed in Sunnyside. And yeah, you would see young people losing their lives over this, whatever, Nigerians, boyfriends, and whatever. So a lot of Nigerians are not doing a lot of good things, and especially in such areas where they are concentrated, like Sunnyside, because they are the largest like population in in Sunnyside, more than South Africans, unless if you find maybe students But if you go to that area when students are closed in December, for example, you're probably just gonna meet a Nigerian, and you're probably not gonna meet another South African on the street because it's actually like their area.
Okay, now this sunny side, because I haven't been there yet. So is it low income, middle class? What is it?
It's low income, middle class actually. So I think
Okay.
because of given the background of students that most of us maybe we can't afford accommodation in certain parts of Pretoria. So most students actually end up gathering in Sunnyside because of I think you can find reasonable accommodation or cheaper accommodation in that area.
Okay, so it's low income. So usually is that area a little bit prone to crime?
Too much. It's very hard for a person to even walk at night. Actually,
Okay.
I've been a victim of actually crime at night where I got mugged and they took my phone. I got stabbed, something like that when I was working with my
Really?
friends. So yeah, it's like that.
Okay, and who was the perpetrator?
I don't know because the person ran away. I've never even got to actually probably get to see the person. Like they just came after we passed a certain flat in Sunnyside. I think it was on Jerison Street, and yeah, they came from the back. They snatched our phone and yeah, stabbed us, and then took our bags and started running.
Oh man. Wow. Ooh, okay. Um did you have your phone out or it was in your pocket?
It was in my pocket. My friend had a phone by the hand, so obviously, automatically, criminals in South Africa they can even ask you like, what type of phone do you use? Like it gets to that level of confrontation with them actually. If they find you using like not a smartphone, it becomes a problem. Like it's known in South Africa, like, even
Yeah.
when they are looking for money, they would even ask you.
Yeah, I was talking with a South African police officer last time I was there. We was like walking down this one way, and then the police officer came up and said, "Hey, where y'all from?" I said, "Oh, we from America." He said, "Oh, you from America?" He said, "Hey, let me tell you something." He said, "You see these little guys riding around these little cars?" He said, "Just watch it." He said, "Just if you're gonna hold your phone, just hold it tight because these little dudes will run up, snatch your phone, and drive off." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Them little skinny dudes like them little ones like that." I said, "Okay." I said, "All right, no problem, officer." So he said, "I'm walk with y'all." So walk with the officer. He was straight. In America, I wouldn't even talk to a cop in America, but over there, I was chill, right? But it goes. But let's get back to the Nigerian thing because I'm looking at a tweet that you had posted. I thought it was quite interesting, and this tweet, I mean, that I'm looking at. Uh, you had mentioned in the tweet Nigerians cleansing themselves. It said, "With me, how pathetic." You said in the quote, you quoting, "You're the ones who eat," and this is what you say, and y'all don't laugh because she sound like Donald Trump. "Rats, cats, dogs, etc., and call it bushmeat." This is what this. No, you and Donald Trump on one right now, and I'm not saying they doing it. I'm just repeating you because I want to find out where all this is coming from. You said, and I quote,
I
"I
think
don't have to
it
search for
what?
any Joloff." I'm not going to repeat the name you said to get an iPhone. I'm very comfortable with I've and what is affordable, unlike prostituting myself to Macquarie Query. And that is a derogatory term for any kind of foreigner in South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Just off those two
But do you
things
know what
alone.
happened?
Hold on, sister.
Phil,
Hold
do you
on.
know what happened?
No. Don't. No. Why would you write that? That's what I want to know. Why would you write that?
I was actually, fighting back to what they were saying. I'm sure you have seen a picture of me when I actually took my spiritual training. And they've been saying a lot of things. They even called me a witch, some Nigerians. Some were even claiming that I'm a prostitute. I mean, they've said like worse things than what I've said actually. Like there's been a lot of controversy around my name and my pictures
Mhm.
because of I don't know, maybe I was supposed to hide when I'm doing my African practices because of I had like the hair looked like dreadlocks with a bit of red sand on it. So the picture it's I'm wearing red clothes actually. I think that is the picture that is supposed to be there. So they've been using that picture and went to go look for another picture of some witch wherever. I don't know where they got it. And they've been comparing me to one. So it got to that level where now I'm like, okay, you know what, nah, this is getting enough, because now I was getting attacked and it was now coming even for my family.
Okay.
They used my family pictures. They hunted for them. They looked for my parents' pictures.
Okay, so basically what you're saying
it got
was
to that level. Yes.
you were beefing with Nigerians when you made this post.
Yes, we were actually. You can even check on Twitter. I'm sure you would find a whole lot of those kind of tweets, especially from
you
them.
was going in on this post that I'm looking at. This one of the posts you was going in. You know, so basically they were beefing with you. So then, okay, so that's why you mentioned witchcraft. Now I get it, because one of the things you said, I can never match your Nigerian witchcraft. That's you people.
Yes,
specific.
they called me a witch.
Excuse me?
They called me a witch. They were comparing me to a witch because of my practices at home and what I was doing as a black person. And I thought that maybe because they are Africans, they would understand that better. And then now they come and say, no, what you're doing is witchcraft. You need to find Jesus. I mean, come on, Jesus. Like, seriously now. I'm doing my African practices as a black woman in South Africa, as a baby woman, and then you want to come here and, you know, be writing biblical things and telling me that I'm being demonic and whatever. So those are actually what I was cashing back. And the fact that some of them are like, oh, you are using a Mobicel. I'm like, it's okay. It's what I afford. It's okay. Then, you know, me going to sell my body to actually own an iPhone, because the picture is not that nice, because the quality of the phone at that moment that I was using. So even now, I'm sure they're going to make another comment to say, oh, she looked so black or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, I can't care about such issues. Like, what I own is what I own. What I have is what I have. And I can't be, you know, competing to go buy an iPhone, where else in South Africa, iPhone is so expensive. Maybe in America, it's more reasonable. I mean, iPhone, it's almost 28K in South Africa. So, I mean, you know, it's not something that I would.
A Huawei is actually better technology.
I had one, but mine froze actually over time. But yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something about us in America with some, not all Nigerians. So we went back and forth with Nigerians, and we kind of corrected that problem. Now they was running around here calling us Akata. And Akata is a very, very derogatory term they use toward, you know, my people, because we're descendants of slaves and things like that. So they was calling us, you know, Akata, saying, oh, we don't know where we from. We don't have a home. Well, you know, I've been in America. My family been in America for 500 years. So when you hear a person like me say I'm from Texas, or my family's from here, my family's from there, 500 years. Like, I don't know where my family come from before 500 years ago. Right. So some of them was saying that to us too. Some of them, but we did some straightening on some of them. Right. And we got a delineation movement, kind of like what you talk about a little bit. You know, hey, we are our own people. We over here. We're going to fight for Black Americans, right? Everybody else with that, you can go on with that, right? So I get it, because we've had our battles with Nigerians. Oh, yes, we have. But so I understand your point on some things you're saying. But, you know, only thing I would say about, especially if you're kind of in the public eye a little bit, you got to kind of watch your clapbacks, or maybe make the clap back go to a particular person instead of the group. Because I didn't read everything you're saying, because boy, you was going in on here. I'm like, man,
I'm sure you would find the scriptures, because they are there. Trust me, some of them responded back, and they are in numbers. If you go through the tweets, you would find the picture I'm talking about.
I'm looking at one tweet you posted, and about the open defecation on the beach. I seen that tweet. And I'm like, okay, I don't know why you responded to that when a person talking about Happy Independence Day, Nigeria. I don't know why you did that. But, you know, yes, that is an issue, you know, because I didn't know that was an issue in certain places, because, like, you know,
it is a big issue.
And I've never seen nobody do that in South Africa. Never. You know, now one thing it was funny. I think I made a post about some of South Africans, and one person told me, "You Black Americans and South Africans are made for each other." I'm like, why you say that? Because we talk about our country and defending our homeland and our culture and stuff like that. So I had people got mad at me telling me, "Yeah, you and South Africans, y'all just belong to each other." I'm like, I say, but realistically, sister, I will admit, South Africans, I can connect probably with South Africans a little more on some things because of y'all went through apartheid, we went through Jim Crow, all that stuff like that, slavery, etc. So if you look at the way apartheid was versus what we went through, it kind of mirrors the same, right? So it's kind of easier a little bit at times to discuss certain things with racism versus, let's say, if I go to, I don't know, Rwanda, I can't really discuss racism with them like that, but with y'all, I could. It makes sense.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
No, I'm agreeing that we can discuss all those issues because I think like besides maybe being, especially with immigration, because we are the receiving countries. So there is just so many other issues. And when you grow up in a Black community, I don't even think that South Africans are actually, we would say that we are Afrophobic or we are xenophobic for that matter, because of, these people, when they came here, I remember when I stayed in Sunnyside for the first time, and I used to see Nigerians. I even had a hairdresser that was Nigerian, and my nail technician was from Ghana. Do you understand?
Okay.
I've never even looked at them in such a manner. It took certain things and certain hateful events to happen for us to even arrive where we are, where we now like we don't want association with you guys because of you do not actually respect us. So it's like what you're saying, that you are welcoming. We were welcoming of them, and we were welcoming different people from different backgrounds. Like we have welcomed even the white people in South Africa, and even the African migrants. It was the same thing. So over time, there is so many issues that compiled itself. There's even an issue of this other 8-year-old girl that was actually raped by a Nigerian in Sunnyside. Actually, he took her in for like 3 months, and she was using her as a sex slave. So all those things I'll send to you via WhatsApp and actually consolidate. But I'm sure you can find some of the tweets that I've mentioned all these hateful events that happened in South Africa. So all those that girl was like a minor, and then this 20-something-year-old guy who's a Nigerian takes the girl in and he started having sex with her.
That's sick. That's sick. So what did the South African Police Service do about it?
I'm actually liking the fact that you had an encounter with South African police. They would rather tell you to watch out for crime than them actually acting against crime. That is another problem. So we have an law enforcement issue. That's like the biggest problem. That's the reason why in South Africa, I will say the frustrations that we do have. We do know that the government is failing us, and sometimes yes, we take it out on migrants or African migrants for that matter. But honestly, we are failed by the government in South Africa. Even the law enforcement agencies do not want to do anything, and it's quite frustrating. But the guy was actually sentenced for life in prison after different people came to actually assist and make this matter known. And yeah, so he's actually in prison today. So yeah, but at first it didn't look like something that was going to be achieved.
Well, if you love your country, then you got to get more involved. I know you're an activist, but shoot, if some of y'all have to join the South African Police Service, if some of y'all have to become politicians in whatever party, to make a difference. So you can get in home affairs or something, and you can start, clamping down on, because I heard there's some corruption on the borders where people getting bribed, and that's how people getting in too. I've heard about that. You got to make a difference in your homeland. So that's what I would say. Get more involved, become a politician or a police officer or something, so you can make a difference.
True that. If you're gonna fight the system, you need to be part of it, and I think that's what we have intended. That's the reason why you have seen, parties like Action SA coming forth, and ATM, IFP, and others. saying that they are pro South Africa and they are going to help us to fight illegal immigration in South Africa. So I think that we are trying to build up towards that, but it's not something that is done. I think over like 2 years or the 3 years that I've been active with this whole movement and saying that I'm fighting against the system.
All right. Well, Sister Kwena, tell people how they can get in contact with you, just in case they got some questions.
Mostly on Twitter, and even on your website. I think they can drop me the questions on the YouTube channel. I will attend to them and try to respond. But yeah, mostly on my Twitter. My Twitter account is the most active one. My Facebook is not that much, but yeah.
Right.
On Facebook, on Twitter, it's Miss Ruraltarian, and yeah, that's where you can find Kwena Molekwa. Otherwise, you can find me through Action SA South Africa, which is my political party.
Okay, Action SA. Yes, I know. I remember Action SA. I think Renelwe interviewed the dude from Rise Mzansi before the election. But okay, Action SA. I remember seeing those flyers all over the place and everything. And you say you close to KwaZulu Natal is where you're from, right?
No, I'm from Limpopo.
Oh, you from Limpopo, like Julius.
Yes, that is even more interesting. So you should host us.
Okay. All right. Got you. Yeah, Renelwe from Limpopo as well. She told me that. So okay.
Yeah, Morema. Her name is from Limpopo.
Yeah. That's what she told me. So, all right, Kwena, thank you for coming on the show, sister. Greatly appreciate it. And yeah, keep in touch. Let me know what's going on. Anything that we need to look at or cover on the platform, you can let us know, and we'll look into it.
Okay, no, thank you very much for having me. And yeah, do enjoy your evening. And yeah, we shall keep in contact with you.
All right, thank you.